I came out here to disappear. I thought the woods would be quiet. I thought no one would find me. I brought everything I needed: a tent, supplies, a rifle, and one box of pictures I couldn't throw away. It was supposed to be a reset. No cell service, no people, no noise. But I've been out here 6 days, and the silence isn't natural. It's watching me. The first weird thing I noticed was the forest floor. No animals, no droppings, no disturbed leaves. It was too clean, like someone swept it. Then, at night, the trees started moving. I don't mean swaying in the wind. There wasn't any wind. I mean shifting, like they'd rotated. On the second night, I marked one with my knife, just a simple X. When I woke up, the tree with the X was gone, or at least, not where I left it. I found the same X 10 feet away on a different tree, like it moved. That same night, I heard whispering, no language, just breathy syllables, in rhythm, chanting from multiple directions. I fired my rifle once, out of panic. The forest went silent. I didn't sleep at all. On day 4, I found the skin. Not animal, human. It was hanging over a branch like laundry, pale, empty, perfectly intact. No blood, just peeled off. There was hair on the scalp, dark, like mine. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. Lack of sleep, maybe dehydration. But when I reached out to touch it, something moved behind the trees, fast. Low to the ground, not an animal, something crawling. I dragged the skin back to my tent, thinking I'd bring it to the authorities once I got out. But that night, it was gone. And in its place was something worse. My old Polaroid camera, the one I'd buried with my brother 10 years ago. I swear on my life, I opened the box and saw his name etched into the bottom, Samuel M. I smashed it, but it didn't break. It only clicked and ejected a photo. It was me, asleep in my tent. From that night, on day 5, I tried to leave. I followed my GPS, compass, sun, even my own damn footprints. Every time I ended up back at the same place, a clearing with a strange tree. Its bark wasn't rough. It looked like flesh, pockmarked, scarred. The branches were long and too thin, jointed like fingers. And hanging from those fingers were objects: a child's shoe, a rotten jawbone, a wet teddy bear still dripping, and a necklace I gave my sister when I was 12. She died last year, in a car crash. There's no reason it should have been here. I sat under the tree, cried for the first time in years. When I opened my eyes, the tree had moved closer. I hadn't noticed it at first. It was leaning toward me. Its shadow had stretched like it was reaching. Day 6, this morning, I woke up with pine needles in my throat. Not in my mouth, in my throat. Like someone had shoved them down while I slept. My tongue was swollen, my teeth were bleeding. Worse, there were symbols carved into my chest. I didn't do it. I would have felt it. They're deep, like something sharp but precise made them. Not random slashes, runic shapes. Symbols I've never seen before. But I've been watching them for hours, and now I understand them. They're not words, they're instructions. I think they're telling me how to give my skin to the forest. This will be my last entry. I've stopped fighting. There's a stillness here now, and I know what it wants. The forest doesn't eat like we do. It remembers, takes everything you've been and wears it like bark. I saw my brother's face in the leaves this morning. He looked peaceful. Tomorrow someone else will come out here thinking they're alone. They won't be. They'll hear the silence, and if they listen closely, they'll hear me whispering back. I never believed in the stories. The woods behind my grandfather's cabin were just woods, I told myself. Nothing more. But he used to say, the trees are older than sin. They don't forget. I should have listened. It started with a dare. Stupid, harmless, the kind you make after too many beers and not enough common sense. I was alone at the cabin for the weekend. No signal, no Wi-Fi, just a crackling fire and the smell of decaying leaves. I figured I'd hike out to the Devil's Hollow, a clearing about 5 miles deep in the forest that people swore was cursed. Animals wouldn't go near it. Birds wouldn't fly over it. People who entered it didn't always come back the same. So of course I went. By the time I reached the hollow, the sun was bleeding out behind the hills. The trees grew thicker here, closer, almost suffocating. The deeper I walked, the quieter it got. Not peaceful quiet. Predatory. When I reached the clearing, I realized 2 things. First, there was no wind. The branches hung perfectly still, like a painting. Second, the earth was soft, too soft. I knelt and touched the soil. It squelched. Something wet, something warmer than it should have been, seeped up between my fingers. It wasn't mud, it was blood. The first scream didn't come from me. It came from under the ground. I stumbled back as the dirt shifted, heaved like it was breathing. Roots pushed up through the crimson soil, black and glistening, pulsing with a slow, sick rhythm. One of them slithered toward me, fast as a whip, and wrapped around my ankle. I screamed then. It dragged me to the center of the clearing, where the earth opened up like a yawning mouth. I clawed at the ground, fingernails tearing off against stones, slick with gore, but the root was stronger. It wanted me inside. I fell. Only a few feet, but it felt like falling into another world. The light dimmed. The air stank of rot and something chemical, like old formaldehyde. The walls of the pit were lined with bones, human, judging by the skulls, some still wet, flesh clinging to them in strings. I wasn't the first. A whisper slithered through the tunnel. Not words, voices, moaning, sobbing, gibbering in madness. I turned to run, but the roots had closed in behind me. I had only one way to go, forward. I crawled. The tunnel narrowed as I moved, forcing me onto my stomach. I could feel things brushing my legs, skeletal hands maybe. Something bit my heel. I screamed, kicked, and felt teeth tear free from whatever had latched on. Then I heard a child crying. It echoed through the roots, warped and broken. I turned a corner and entered a chamber. The walls were lined with writhing figures, faces grown into the bark, mouths wide in endless howls. Their eyes followed me. And in the center, hanging like a puppet on strings of tendon, was a girl. She couldn't have been more than 10. Her skin was gray, stretched thin over her bones. Her mouth was sewn shut with barbed wire, eyes gouged out. Still, somehow, she saw me. She raised a hand and the roots obeyed. They slammed me against the wall, pinning me like a butterfly. One root curled around my throat, another dug into my ear deep, squirming until I tasted blood. Then she spoke, not aloud, but inside my skull, a voice like shattering glass. You shouldn't have come. The roots pierced my skin, arms, legs, chest. They drank. I felt them drain me, every drop, and replace it with something colder, something hungry. I tried to scream, but my jaw dislocated with a sickening pop, held wide by branches forcing themselves down my throat. They wanted to make me part of the forest, and they did. I don't know how long I was there, hours, days. Time dripped like sap. My skin hardened, my eyes dimmed. I could hear the others, the ones who came before, crying in the dark. Some begged, some laughed, some sang lullabies. Eventually, the roots released me. I crawled back to the surface, reborn. When I stood again in the clearing, I was no longer alone. Shadows watched me from the trees, figures half-formed, their eyes like hollow knots in wood. And the girl, she was waiting. She smiled, blood oozing from the corners of her wired-shut lips. Behind her, the pit began to close. She gestured once, and I understood. Now it's my turn to bring someone back. I hike to forget. That's what I tell people. But really, I hike because the forest doesn't talk back. It doesn't pity you. It doesn't ask how the divorce is going or whether you're still sober. The trip was supposed to be 2 nights in the Jefferson National Forest. I'd been out there before. Familiar trails, solid cell-dead zones, clean silence. Just me and the trees. Until I saw that new trail. It branched off the main path maybe 3 miles in. No markers, no blazes, no sign anyone had used it recently. But it looked carved deliberately. Worn, like it had been there for years. I've hiked long enough to know, if it's not on the map, don't go down it. But I did. I stepped off the marked trail at 11:14 a.m., and the woods changed. It wasn't obvious at first, just subtle wrongness. No squirrels, no birds. The trees seemed thinner, taller. The light was colder somehow, like the sun couldn't quite break through the leaves. And then I started finding the ribbons. Red cloth tied around branches every 50 feet. Uniform, clean, not weathered like the trail. That's what really made my stomach go tight. Someone had been here recently. I kept walking, stupidly thinking maybe it was part of an old rescue route or something. That's when I found the first shoe. A single child's shoe. Muddy, unlaced, just sitting in the middle of the trail. 15 minutes later, I found another. Different size. Adult woman's this time. Fresh tread. I stopped walking. I wanted to turn back. But behind me, the trail was gone. I don't mean I couldn't find it. I mean it was physically gone. The trees were different. There were no footprints, not even mine. Just a new ribbon, tied at eye level, with my name written on it in black marker. Eric. I don't remember running, just crashing through brush, clawing at branches, dry heaving. Eventually, I collapsed in a clearing. That's when I saw them. Tents, 6 of them. Old military canvas style, moldy, torn. Arranged in a circle like they'd been there for decades. And cameras, old film ones, nailed to trees, pointing inward. I approached one of the tents. Inside there were bones. Small ones, clean, arranged into a shape. Next to them was a Polaroid photo of me standing in that exact clearing, holding the photo I was holding. I screamed. I actually screamed, like an animal. I ran again, no idea where. I tore through trees, branches cutting my face, until I tripped and fell into a ditch. Something cracked in my leg. The pain went white hot, and I blacked out. When I woke up, it was night, pitch black, and someone was whistling, just a few feet away. It was slow, tuneless, and it moved, like it was circling me. I didn't have my flashlight anymore. I lay there in the dark, bleeding, listening to that awful, lazy whistle getting closer, then farther, then closer again. I don't know how long it lasted. Hours, maybe. Eventually, I heard something being set gently on the ground near me. Then silence. I waited until sunrise to move. When I finally turned over, I saw what they'd left. A fresh ribbon, tied in a loop. And a Polaroid of me, asleep, mouth open, eyes rolled back, taken from inches away. I was found 2 days later by a search team, 11 miles from the trailhead. I had a broken tibia, hypothermia, and deep scratches on my chest in a spiral pattern. But no one could explain how I got there, or how I'd survived the storm that hit that night, or why my name was stitched into the inside of the child's shoe they found near me. I've looked online since. There's a pattern of disappearances in that area going back decades. Dozens of people. Many were never found.